It is March 17th, 2022. We're here at the Pyle Center with Chris Losey. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we like to start out with the easy questions, like when were you born and where were you born?
I was born in 1964, Kirksville, Missouri.
And when did you come out this way, either to Tempe or the Valley?
1988, in that right beginning of the year.
And what brought you out here?
When I was in college, I met Kevin Weisleader. He was a bass player. And I had friends out in Arizona, and he did too. And while we were in college, we started a band together. We started doing music together. And we had kind of made plans to come to Arizona. I thought it'd be a good place to be, better than Illinois. And so that's what we did.
So when did you start playing music? If it was, it was obviously before you came to
Yeah,
Arizona.
yeah. Growing up, I started about when I was 10. And then my older brother played, and I got into music then. Played in a couple of bands in high school, playing guitar.
What were your parents or family influential in your love of music? Or?
More my brothers and sisters. My older brother, my older sister, Lee and Linda. They were into music. Once I kind of listened to the Beatles and stuff like that, I really got into it. And so my brother got me started on guitar, and then I pretty much took off on my own, and just got together with friends, and we would jam, and it was always a blast.
Did you play in bands in high school?
I did. I was in a couple bands. Trying to think of the names. One was called 220, and the other one was called, I can't think of it, sorry.
Now, I'm not real musical, so is it bass guitar that you play, or what other instruments do you play?
Well, I play bass in Tempe Sour now.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main band now. But most of the time I've played guitar. I did play bass in one of my bands in high school, though. So I've always played both, but mostly in guitar in the bands I've played in.
So when you first came to Arizona, was it Tempe that you started playing?
Yeah. So when I moved here, I stayed with my aunt and uncle, looking for a job. I didn't have a job, and it took me about 2 months to find a job. And they lived kind of in South Scottsdale, border of Tempe and Scottsdale. And once I found my job, which it was in Phoenix, but on the border of Tempe, off of University, and the university's right there. I was just out of college. Seemed like a good place to be. So I found a place at Grandes Cortez was the first place I lived, which is over on, I think, like Beck and University, right over that way.
And where were you working?
The company I was working at was called White Technology, which became WEDC, and then became Micro Semi. And now it was purchased by Mercury Systems.
And what do they do?
They do high-end electronics.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I met Kate.
And so where was that what your degree was in?
I had an engineering degree, mm-hmm. Electrical engineering.
And so you're working during the day, like as normal people, and then were you playing with friends in bands in the evenings?
Yeah, when I first got here, Kevin he lived here. He came like the summer before I came, because he graduated earlier than I did. And so once I got here, we were getting together and playing, and just over time we were making connections with people that we met, and ultimately, we'd find other people to play with and start. We were working on getting a band together. That was our whole goal all along, but it kind of took a little while.
Now, get together with friends and write songs and music, or are you doing cover songs? A little both, maybe?
A little both. I mean, a lot of times when you're first getting together, it's like, at least my background is just, someone, I could play a song and they follow along, and they could play a song and I'll follow along, and, or we'll just play a riff or, whatever, and just see where it goes, just pretty open, pretty loose.
Now, do you practice in somebody's garage, or?
Yeah, as far as where I'm at now, we have a basement, so I have like a studio down there. So we rehearse there. But the places I've lived in, it's like the first place where I really had a decent space for rehearsing was over on 7th Street. That was this house right by Long Long's, basically. There was Long Long's at 7th and Mill, and then there was dentist office, and then there was our house.
Wow. So you lived right there.
Yeah, it was right down. We were, I think, pretty much the closest house to Mill Avenue back then. So it was me and Bruce, and I had met Bruce a little while, like I think the first year after I moved here, and he was a guitar player. So and then it was Bruce, Kevin, and I. We were on a mission to find a drummer, and Bruce and I moved into a house on 7th Street. And what was amazing about that is that when we first saw it, and it was when we were at Long Long's, seeing bands, it was for rent, and I think it was like in the spring. And then we thought, yeah, this would be a good place to live. And then we came back like, I don't know, it's probably a month, half later, still up for rent. No one had got it. And it was only like $550 a month, 2-bedroom, 2-bath house right downtown. So we moved in there and we put a practice space right in the front living room and set up there. And so that's how Vivid Squid started, basically. We ended up as far as finding a drummer, I think we had an ad in the New Times for a drummer, and we found this English guy, Tony Maslowitz. We played with him. We liked him a lot, but he was already in another band. We didn't know that when he first rehearsed, or tried out. But he knew Ian. They played soccer together, and he recommended Ian try out for the band, and he did, and Ian was great. So Ian joined the band, and then we were Vivid Squid. We started working on getting a demo tape together. We recorded at the house there, and luckily enough, we met someone who knew somebody at the Sun Club, and we got a show there. That was our first real gig, was at the Sun Club.
Now this is a bit of an impromptu question, but I can't be the only one that wonders, how do you come up with a band name? Even Tempe Sour is interesting, Vivid Squid is interesting.
Right.
How do you come up with that?
Well, Vivid Squid, the story is actually in the book, right? Or Kevin wrote this like years back, but and it was a pretty good story. We were rehearsing, and we were done with rehearsal, all kind of hanging out at the house. We had friends over, and we were trying to figure out a name for the band, and our friend Dave Entz, which Dave Entz ends up later playing in Mojo Farmers, which is one of my bands, but he recommends Cousteau Spots a Squid. It's like this kind of long, drawn out name. And we're all like, that's interesting, but it's kind of long, but we like the squid part. And then someone came up with Vivid as far as the front end of that. I don't remember exactly who, maybe it's written in there. But so that's really all. It's just really kind of a brainstorming session of, having fun and coming up with ideas.
What kind of music would you say you played?
It's very. Then it was kind of. It kind of. I would call it like I don't know, psychedelic punk, maybe with a little surf in it. But it's really not what we were going for, but it's kind of like where it ended up. So, we just kind of went for it.
Did you have any musical influences or music artists that were famous that some people would heard of that influenced you or that you?
Oh yeah, I mean, at the time it was like it was like the bands that are around, like REM was big, and of course we knew of the Meat Puppets, and they were from Arizona, and there was that kind of, I think at the time it was referred more to as college rock, but which became kind of alternative rock, but we were all into all of that kind of stuff at the time. But you go back years when I was younger, it's like I really was into classic rock, like the Jimi Hendrix and Zeppelin and the Beatles and the Who and that kind of stuff. So that influences too, those kind of music.
When you moved to Tempe, we'll go back to music for a second. I want to go to did you get married? Do you have children?
Yeah, so I met my wife at Casey Moore's, 1992, there, and I was living on Spence at the time. I'd rode my bike over there, and she, I think, had gone there after work. It was a Friday night, and we met, and she gave me a ride home, and kind of just went on after that. Pretty much been together ever since.
And that was about what year?
92,
Mm-hmm.
1992.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got married in 94, and I think in 95 we bought a house on Farmer over just north of 13th.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of where Mojo Farmers came from. We were living on Farmer at the time. But my daughter was born in 2000, and Claire. And right after she was born, that was kind of when Mojo Farmers started. It was like Claire was born in May, and that summer Mojo Farmers started getting together and figuring out what we were going to do. Yeah.
What has she gone on to do?
Claire?
Yeah,
she's at ASU right now. She's a junior.
Mm-hmm.
So she's studying business marketing.
Is she musical at all? Does she think her dad's
she's
cool?
really into music, but she was playing piano, but she doesn't play that much anymore. She kind of occasionally she'll just get on, and work something out, figure out a song and stuff. That's cool to hear that. So, but yeah.
And do you still live in Tempe?
Yeah, we live on Alameda now, just off of near College, kind of between College and Rural over there.
So you've lived in some wonderful neighborhoods and seen some big changes from when you were over on 7th Street to even where you are now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Things like businesses or shops or places you played. Can you share some changes or maybe some places you frequented or that you missed or that you loved or you played at?
Oh yeah, a bunch of those. So of course there's Long Longs. Everybody knows that, and when we lived on 7th Street, of course Long Long's right there, and then across the street was 6th East. That was notoriously known as the Beast, and then there was Restaurant Mexico was also right there too. And let me see, I have a list of venues. I was trying to think of some of these other places.
Some favorite places you played, maybe.
Yeah, so we talked about the Sun Club. That was over on 8th Street. Between Rural and McClintock. It was the railroad tracks were right over there. That was a really old venue, and like I said, that was the first place we played. A lot of famous bands played there. Nirvana played there. And I saw a lot of bands there. Etzel's Attic, which was on Mill Avenue, that was, I think, 4th and Mill, and it was on the 2nd story on that corner.
Mm-hmm.
And then Minder Binders, we played there. I remember playing like a New Year's Eve show there. And let's see.
That big, I don't know whether it's kind of a wagon is on display in the Tempe History Museum right now.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah,
They
cool.
have
Yeah, that was out front.
Yeah.
For
right.
a long time.
Yeah. Oh, here's some of the other different places, non-venues, but East Side Records, which is still kind of a store, but it's over near Yucca now. It's in that strip mall. I think it's called Double Nickels on the Dime, but same people. But East Side was over on University, near where Casey's is, over there. And there was, let's see, Chuck Box, which is still here.
Oh,
But
love that. So you played at Chuck Box, or you just like it?
no,
Yeah.
I was just, that was a list of places that I,
Favorite.
yeah.
Yeah, that's still a favorite.
And my wife and I always talk about Taco Cabana. I don't know if you remember that place, but it was on University. I think it was basically where they have the, where's that chicken place that's right down there now. But it was just west of Mill. And it was cool. There was 2 pesos and there's Taco Cabana. Very similar setup as far as, you get tacos and rice and beans and and they have beer and they're open really late, so it's nice.
Did Dash Inn have music? I remember that was a popular place down there too.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I wasn't one to go out a lot, but
Yeah.
I know that was a popular place down there.
But yeah, there's, I'm trying to think. Of course, Electric Ballroom was over on Apache. And that's now NSAA, it's a school.
Mm.
That's where my daughter graduated high school, from that building there. But yeah, and Electric Ballroom had a lot of great bands there, like Nirvana and Foo Fighters, and let's see, Crash Wagon played there quite a bit when we were playing.
Are there some places now in Tempe, or where do you play now?
Well, we play at Cactus Jack's, which is Awatsuki,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Gina, who is co-owner there. She used to basically own and book bands over at the Salient. I should have mentioned Salient, because Salient was, really awesome venue back in the day, and Mojo Farmers that was kind of our main place for playing. But also, as far as where we play now, there's Yucca Tap Room. We started doing some shows at Boondocks, which is pretty cool. It's the old Pranksters.
Bar and Grill.
Yeah. That was like one of the first bars I ever went to. When I came out for spring break, that was I think the first place I ever went.
And is that Broadway?
Yeah, it's Broadway, just east of Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A little side note, we interviewed Paulette Bolliard, who was a Tempe reporter for a long time. She used to do palm reading just for fun at Pranksters Bar and Grill. And I went with her one time and watched her tell people their fortune by their palm, and she was making the whole thing up. She just did it for fun, but a lot of people remember that place, and now it's really quite nice how they
they opened it up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like being outside in some ways, the way it's open, like on one end, and the windows and everything. It's really nice. And they have doing music all the time. It's really a good
That's
deal.
great.
Yeah.
Are there, you have so many wonderful memories of playing music in Tempe,
Yeah.
but are there other memories, whether it's with your family or the neighborhood or events you've attended or that might be specific that you'd want to share?
What do you think? Other non-band memories?
That's probably your main interest.
Yeah, definitely. But it's not. I have a life other than the band. It's just I guess as far as what I prepared. But I'm trying to think.
And you still work. So
yeah, I still work at. Yeah, so that's busy, and yeah, so I've been there a long time. It's the same. Well, the company's changed and owners and whatnot, but pretty much the same place.
Have you traveled with either your band or just perhaps individually or with your family? And have your travels outside of Tempe influenced how you feel about Tempe? Or even Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely traveled, and the band's traveled. Mojo Farmers has done. We did some little tours in Colorado and California. But yeah, personally, my wife and I have traveled to Greece and Paris, and I've been to Amsterdam, and yeah, I always come back feeling good about Tempe, and but it's always interesting to see other places, and Mexico too, obviously. Traveled around down there quite a bit. We like to go at least once or twice a year, like Rocky Point or something like that.
Are there events or parades or even community center kinds of activities that you do? Or are you involved in the community in any other ways in addition to your music?
Well, that's the things I was thought about when I wrote down was mostly music related, like the Tempe History Museum. I played there a couple of times, once with Mojo Farmers and once with Smiley Draco. But
and is Smiley Draco a band that you were in after Mojo Farmers?
Yeah, so that's something I put together on my own. But yeah, I mean, we're involved with the community of mostly just with our friends. We do, I think monthly, we have friends that do the I Help over on, Southern at the church there, Gracie's. So it's, getting food together for the homeless. Yeah.
And your daughter, you said, is going to ASU, and she's a junior.
Yeah.
So she'll have another year there.
Yeah, she may be longer. She's talking about adding another major, so it might take her a little bit longer. We'll see.
Do you think she'll stick close to Tempe, or who knows? She could go somewhere.
It's hard to say. And she's talked about. I mean, this is maybe a while back, but I know she had talked about New York or Chicago or some other city like that. So we have family in the Chicago area, which is that's a nice place to be too. At least in the summer. In the winter, it's not quite as nice. But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I suspect she'll stick around the Arizona area, but you never know.
And so the band you have now, remind me the name again?
Tempe Sour.
Yes, Tempe Sour. Do you think you'll stay with that, or you've started and been in other bands? So what prompts you to kind of change? Is it the people that you're involved with change, or you decide that you just thought of another cool name and you want to you want to have another band.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, and how bands, I don't know how they change. It's hard to say. I mean, it's anybody that's been in a band. It's like it's like a relationship of 5 people or something. It's not easy, for people to continually get along. It's hard enough for 2 people. But so usually for Mojo Farmers, we did a long period, and more, I wouldn't be surprised we play again, just, because we're, most of us are pretty much still friends. We got together, and actually over Christmas, we just got together at my house and played, so, just for fun. But yeah, so it's hard to, how things are going to go, with the band, is whether someone has some other opportunity or whatever, And I'm always doing other kind of gigs too, because I play with other people if things come up. Like, I played with Gray on Soul and Blaine Long and Jim Bachman and Betsy Gans. Actually, me and Betsy played at the Festival of the Arts last fall. So yeah, I'm always kind of out there. I'm open to try things and play.
It's fun that you know a lot of people that have been playing for a long time, but we're always sort of enamored with celebrity. Have you met any what some people might call famous musicians that were either nice or interesting or a fun story to share? Anybody you've met?
I have met some people. As far as like where you actually interact with people, I'm trying to think.
Just fair warning, if you say Elvis Presley, I'll just faint right here. So.
I don't know if there's anybody like that, but the thing is, like, it's somewhat related to Mojo Farmers, and there was a cruise that we did the first year, and it was like an Arizona music themed cruise.
Oh wow!
And it went out of L.A. and went to Ensenada, and then it was like a long weekend kind of cruise. But of course, like the Gin Blossoms and the Tubes and all these bands are on there. Wow! And that was a blast. And then the next year they tried to do it again, but I think the promoter, which he was somewhat my neighbor, we kind of shared alleys, and that's part of my connection. But I think he was having some issues as far as getting bands, and I remember he had called me at some point while he was putting stuff together, and my wife and I were off at the Cracker Camper Van Beethoven camp out in Pioneer Town, which is near 29 Palms in California. Joshua Tree National Forest out that way, for that camp out. And it's a music-based thing, and I don't know if you're familiar with Cracker. That's a band. They did really well in the 90s, and then Camper Van Beethoven was a band kind of in the 80s, the same lead singer, so that's how they were connected. Mm-hmm. So I was telling him about that, and then just like, sure enough, he contacts them about playing on this cruise. And yeah, he books them, and we're playing, and so they're on there. So it was nice, like, meeting those guys and hanging out with those guys, and they were all, very cool and nice. Yeah, so that's probably, and I've met other celebrities. I'm just trying to think. That's probably, as far as people that I interacted with, that's probably the main one. I'm sure there's some other ones, but.
Now, do you have, if this is the right term, I'm not sure, but you'll understand. Do you have fans or people that have followed you for years and come and watch you play wherever you're playing? And
yeah, these days it's almost like fans, friends, people that have just known me for a long time and been active in the in music and in, got active in, our lives together. Because it's funny, like, especially, when you're doing music, it's like, it's kind of like once you get into booking shows and doing all that, it's kind of like you're this party planner. And especially certain places, like if you want to get this band and this person or whatever together and, figure out, and create this kind of fun show for our friends and people to come out and watch. And, so it just kind of continues over time. And, so you switch from one band and you're in another one and you go tell all your friends, hey, I got this new band. Want to come out and check it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have advice for either young people that are interested in, playing and realizing, they might not be really famous, but they'd be able to have a career where they could play for years and years, especially in their hometown. It doesn't even have to be young people, actually.
Right.
My husband just took up piano a couple years ago. Got a neat, no, I'm kidding.
Sure.
But what advice would you give to people that maybe the challenges that you've had or the joys or what to watch out for or do different?
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I would say, hopefully you're in it for, the music, and that should be the kind of the self-motivation to do it. And then, as far as like getting out there, you gotta meet people, you gotta interact and, be open-minded about things. And I mean, for me, that's usually, what's worked out best is like, take on, you're going to take on shows or do things that are not going to be successful, but, you'll learn things from those and, go on, try something else, and then you'll have some successes. You just keep at it and figure things out. But
yeah, that's great advice. Not to make presumptions or assumptions, but my husband started out as an electrical engineer, so it's probably fair to say that I wouldn't have pictured him up on stage. Sometimes
Right.
engineers have a little bit different. We look at them differently than maybe.
Sure.
So are people surprised when they, maybe people that you work with in professional?
Yeah,
that you.
sometimes. It's funny, it was even today that happened because, they were planning to do a happy hour, like some of our engineering group was going to get together.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned to my supervisor, I was like, yeah, you know what, my band's playing happy hour on March 25th at Cactus Jack's. Maybe we could do it over there. I didn't say that, I just told him that. And he was, nice enough, he's like, changed, we're going to do the happy hour over, Chris's band's playing Tempe Sour. And so then, I had a bunch of people at work come up and ask me, like, they were surprised and, about that.
It'll probably be really fun for them to see you in
Yeah.
a different environment.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any other fond memories or fun stories about Tempe or playing music that you would want to share?
One of the stories I wrote down that I guess I don't have to find it, I pretty much know it, was the first time Vivid Squid played at Long Long's. So, pretty sure it was 1990, it was in October. And so my girlfriend at the time, this is before I met Sharon, my wife, but she was a waitress at Long Long's. And I had met her because, we lived next door basically, so I was around there. But we had managed to book a show that was the night of her birthday. It was a Saturday night. And so we were really excited. I mean, as far as places to play, that was kind of like, we were really excited to play down, Long Long's on a Saturday night. So we were hauling all of our equipment over there when it's time for us to set up. And we're just like walking it down the sidewalk because it's like we're right there. But when we get there, we find out the show's been double booked. There's another band that's already expected to play, and turns out it's Live Nudes, which is the Zubia brothers. A lot of people will know who they are. They were like Pistoleros. It was Lawrence and Mark. And so like immediately I'm kind of like on the edge about it, and I get in, start talking to Lawrence, who's the singer. I'm kind of mad about it, and he is like so calm and nice. He's like, hey, it's like, and he basically said, you know what, we got Bone Mama from the radio's coming down to see us. As long, we just need to play for her for like this hour before, and then you guys can play after us, no problem at all. And he was so cool about it, and then it was a great night. We played, and we played well, and it was fun, and it was a blast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How would you like your family, your daughter, your friends to remember you? I know that's
Yeah, I did write that one down.
it's an interesting question to ponder, but
let's see, what did I put down? So, and I did write this. I said, as a fun, kind guy with a love and dedication of music, who knows how to have a good time.
oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Is there anything else related to your work, your friends, your time playing music, your time in Tempe, your neighborhoods that I didn't ask you about that you would want to share?
It's funny, the one I wrote down about that was it was really more of a joke, but I said that I would forgive Tempe, the city of Tempe, for giving me a ticket for playing a musical instrument after the hours of 10 p.m. And I had that ticket.
Oh, that's really funny. Oh my gosh. And I don't know, Dwayne, if you can capture any of...
You want to show us any of the memorabilia?
Yeah. Sure. You're on the cover
You can,
there.
and I can hold the camera over here. So
Yeah, so this is one.
Great memorabilia.
That's probably...
Mojo Farmers, let's see, where are you?
I'm right here.
There you are.
Yeah, so that's when you're on the cover of Get Out. Let's see, what else? So this
Are you in here?
Yeah, so this.
Oh, Mojo Farmers.
Yeah, so this is on this. This is kind of a Relics magazine, which is like a national magazine, and they wrote us up here, compared us to Fish, actually, and let's see.
And this is some of your,
Yeah, so that's Tempe Sour.
yeah. What are these called? Like, they're not LPs.
This is
See,
CDs.
there you go.
So all these CDs I brought in. If you guys want them, I brought those in.
Oh,
You can
fun.
just take what you want.
Mojo Farmers.
Yeah, so this is really the CD that kind of got people's attention. Of Mojo Farmers, Empty Space. That was really kind of what got us the write up in there. And there's Vivid Squid.
And we can take your word for the ticket, but that's a very funny story. That's a very funny comment.
Oh yeah, I'll pull that up and show that to you. I want to find the picture. This is a great picture of Vivid Squid. I don't know if that.
Okay. Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hi.
there's Ian, Kevin, Jamie.
Like, here's an ad from Sun Club.
Yeah, so Vivid Squid. There's a bunch of these. Here's like Jim Blossoms, are playing there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of.
A great history in Tempe music, for sure. Thank you. We like to open it up to let anybody else ask you some questions.
Sure.
Wayne, do you have any questions? Mike?
I don't. No.
Mike or Debbie?
I think that musicians are just fascinating people. I think that you have an ability to observe or feel or come up with kind of a storyline from stuff that maybe the rest of us just would overlook or something. Writers tend to have a journal, or artists tend to have some sketch pad. Do you have a tune running in your mind the whole time, or how do you get your direction for what you want to compose?
Well, I'm always fiddling around with the guitar. I mean, it's kind of like started pretty early on. Once I got into it, it's like I'll sit around and just and I'll get like riffs or ideas in my head. But usually that's kind of happening separate from the lyrics for me. Usually, and then lyrically, it's just kind of how things come to me. Sometimes. Like there's been quite a few times recently where I'll be at that time between being asleep and waking up in the morning where I'm dreaming and I have a song playing in my head with, lyrics and music going on, and it's just like basically waking up and like, oh, I better write that down and figure that out, that kind of stuff.
So can you read music? Or write music?
No.
Okay.
I mean, there's ways that I write things, but it's like, I write, I know notes and, that kind of stuff, I know like general, what octaves and all that kind of stuff, but rest of it is pretty much by ear, and a lot of, the tools these days where you can record, I can basically use GarageBand and have a riff or an idea and put that against a drum beat and start building on that, and it's just awesome. I can pull out my phone and play something for you that I, did just in the last week or two.
Yeah.
The technology now to be able to do that, how fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. Sorry about that.
Well, so is there any, you said you're an electrical engineer, is there any crossover between that creativeness on the music side and your electrical engineering side?
Well, I mean, the technology part of it, so I'm really not, I'm not a computer guy, but I use computers and stuff, so I mean, it probably helps me to some degree, from my engineering background to kind of understand and work through some of the technology stuff, whether it's recording or working on my pedals for my sound and stuff like that, but in engineering, well, it definitely helps me too with organization, and that's really more like, well, you got the practical you can use with the artistic, and it's a nice combination, if you can make it work, because then sometimes artists are not that practical, and then they don't, it's hard to achieve much without being practical about things.
Yeah.
Well, that was one thing I put on here about Illinois. I talked about my parents. They were both teachers, and my mom was a home ec teacher, and my dad was industrial arts teacher. Very practical people, so anyway, that was, I think there's the question about anything special about growing up in Illinois. So,
Yeah. Have you gone back to Illinois and visited?
Oh yeah, I think we were back. We usually go to the Chicago area. That's that's where my brother and two sisters live. And then my wife's from Ohio. We go back there too. So.
They come out here when it's chilly.
Yeah, my parents are out here now, and you know, my oldest sister and brother both have retired recently too, so and they've been coming out some for the winter. So we're all going to be out here pretty much, I think.
It's a nice place for
Yeah.
sure. Anything else? Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's
No
definitely
problem.
interesting
Thanks.
to hear from a musician and then also somebody that has such roots in Tempe as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It's fun to do.